There are a lot of stories out there just waiting to be told. I'm recording artist Mark Tara. Welcome to Spotlight.
Spotlight, shine bright tonight. Time for you to step into spotlight, shine bright tonight. Time for you to step into spotlight.
Hello, and welcome to Spotlight, a show that features talent in all its varied forms, everything from politics to the performing arts. Let's see who's stepping into the spotlight today.
Spotlight.
Of a feather flock together, yes they do, yeah. Birds of a feather flock together, yes they do. You gave me these weapons, I feel free to use them. You gave me these weapons to control you. Shaking the foundations, shaking the foundations, shaking the foundations of the world.
The spark that started it all happened in 1968, when Carole Pope and Kevin Staples met. They formed Rough Trade and began pushing the boundaries of sexuality, sexual politics, and the status quo. To her credit, this agent provocateur has earned 3 Juno Awards, Canadian Grammys, a Genie Award, Canadian Oscars, 4 gold records, 1 platinum record, and 1 double platinum record. And Carole Pope is also a best-selling author. Her latest release, Music for Lesbians, is a 4-song EP that explores the funny and tragic involved in being with another woman. It is my pleasure to welcome icon of transgressive music, Carole Pope, to Spotlight.
Sporadic bursts of affection, numb from too much attention, caught in the sun's reflection. I'm gonna transcend, I'm gonna transcend all of this. Versace colors spin off rail thin bodies, shock of new, then the board acceptance. Feel like something shiny caught in your peripheral vision. I'm gonna transcend, I'm gonna transcend all of this.
Carole Pope, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, I have to say, I'm a little nervous and a whole lot excited, but can you hear this? Can you hear that?
Yeah, what's that?
Okay, that's 1. You hear that? That's number 2.
Yeah.
That's number 3. Do you know what those are?
No.
Those are 3 vinyl records. Weapons, Shaking the Foundations, and For Those Who Think Young. I have the vinyl. I'm just saying. So Carole Pope, I'm a little nervous, like I said. I'm a little excited. So tell me, what gets Carole Pope nervous and what gets Carole Pope excited? Let's start with nervous. What makes you nervous?
Not really performing or anything like that, but I guess what's going to happen in the future and why aren't I a millionaire yet? You know, stuff like that.
Right. And what turns you on? What gets you excited?
Oh, certainly performing and writing and working with new people and nature and intelligent people, because there's so many stupid people.
So, you went to Cedar Brae Collegiate here in Toronto, and you studied graphic design, and you also went to school with the president of the Mae West fan club, Craig Russell. I'm curious, did you ever see Outrageous?
Oh, yeah. I actually, like, years later, met Craig, and I saw him perform at the Imperial Room, which is no longer, I guess. And a friend of mine, David Whiteout, hung out with him. So maybe he was in that movie. I think maybe he was in that movie. I don't know, honey. We were just all doing lewds and shit in those days. I don't know.
Telling it like it is.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, so 1968, an audition for Diva Local Sideshow. Then he walked in. Share with us, if you will, Carole Pope, about your chance meeting with Kevin Staples.
Yeah, I was auditioning for this crazy, it was actually Diva Loca Sideshow, this insane band of nerdy guys. And then Kevin walks in and he has this white Gretsch guitar. And I just thought he was like great looking. And he, I don't know, we both auditioned. I don't think the band didn't happen with us, but we just connected and just, started hanging out.
You guys happened.
Yeah.
Now, you and Kevin started Rough Trade, and back in the 70s, groups like the Diodes, the Viletones, the B-Girls, they were really making a name for themselves with politically charged music. So tell me, Carole, what were those early days of Rough Trade like?
I don't know. They were like pretty heady. People were just so into us because there was nothing like us. And, I was, I guess I still am androgynous. And so people got turned on by that. And everything we were doing really had a sense of humor, but some people took it seriously. Some dudes would masturbate in the audience. I've seen some penises. Can we talk? Let's not talk.
Were they nice penises?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. It was just like, what? What the hell is that? That's more or less what it was. So yeah, it was just great because it was a big community and all the bands were supportive of each other. And, everybody went to art events. Everybody went to see everybody play. Everybody went to theater parties, jet setting to New York. Because we played a lot in New York when we first started. We would just drive to New York all the time and do gigs.
And is that where you first came across Divine?
Yes. We'd actually seen Divine in Female Trouble and, all those movies. And we were just in love with Divine. And Divine was doing a play called Women Behind Bars. And Kevin and I went, and we were just enthralled.
Now, would you mind sharing the story about how would I say, encouraged Divine to sing, maybe?
Yes. So Divine was not a singer. He certainly was an actor, and we'd written these songs that we thought it would be great if Divine sang them, because we did this show called Restless Underwear at Massey Hall in 1977. So, I would have to say that we were responsible for Divine starting to sing.
Well, thank you for that. You think you're a man, but you're only a boy.
Yes.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, what inspired High School Confidential?
Actually, this is before we had a record deal, like right before we had signed our record deal with True North, and we were working on a music called Cruising, and we were writing songs for it. Bill was involved in the movie and the soundtrack, and so we wrote this song, and I'm like, this is a good song for Mink DeVille to sing, and thank God that didn't happen. I just kind of went, I'm going to sing this, they're not going to use it, I'm going to sing it.
Uh-huh.
And so really that's how that happened, and it was on our second album, Avoid Freud, our first album for True North, Avoid Freud.
She's a cool, blonde, scheming bitch. She make my body twitch. Walking down the corridor, you can hear her stiletto click. I want her so much, I feel sick. The girl can't help it, she really can't help it now. It's like a high school confidential. A high school confidential. Teenage Brendos stalk her in the halls. They tease her with cat calls. She's a combination, Anita, Egbert, maybe Van Doren, Dagmar, a high school confidential. A high school confidential. What's the principal doing with her? Who's that guy? Is he screwing with her? What's her perfume? Tigress by Fabergé. It make me cream my jeans when she come my way. Oh, high school confidential. A high school confidential. She drives a candy pink, a Cadillac. If I don't get her soon, I'll have a heart attack. When she passes me a look, I wanna burn my books, give up high school. Well, a high school confidential. A high school confidential. A high school confidential. A high school confidential.
So tell me, with everything that happened with Rough Trade, ultimately, what do you think broke the group apart?
I think because, we were ahead of our time. It was more difficult for us, and we never had great management, and we certainly did not get support from. Well, we got support from our label, True North, but we didn't get support from CBS, who distributed True North, and we were supposed to. But we were touring with Bowie, and he wanted us to tour with him. He wanted us to go to California and Australia and New Zealand, and we could not get tour support. And if that happened today, you would get the money. So that was one of the things. And also, like, the media had a little bit to do. I mean, I really felt typecast. I'm like, I'm not this. I think that Kevin and I were growing as artists, but people weren't appreciating it.
Right. So, if the listening audience is hearing music, it is the Hard House Band that's playing apparently right now. So we shall continue on with our conversation with the great diva herself, Carole Pope. So Carole, that was then. This is now. You have a new record, Music for Lesbians. Tell me, what inspired Music for Lesbians?
I don't know. Several things. Just being a lesbian and how funny and tragic.
That would do it.
I know how funny and tragic that is, and I don't think lesbians have much of a sense of humor, or feminists. And I'm like, I'm just going to write 4 songs and, kind of mock the whole lesbian lifestyle a little bit and parody it, and because these songs are like so different. Every single song on this EP is so different. But
yeah, especially I have to say, Lesbians in the Forest is hilarious, and I wasn't sure if I should be laughing at this song or not, but I was laughing listening to the song, and it features Peaches, singer-songwriter Peaches. Tell me what inspired Lesbians in the Forest. Tell me about that story.
Actually, Tim Welch and I, my guitar player, we were playing at the Flying Beaver.
Flying Beaver Pubberette.
Yeah, in Toronto. We were like in the dressing room, and there were some, kind of lesbian drums, and in the dressing room, and I started banging them. Some hand drums. I don't know what they're called because I'm not a very good lesbian that way. And then I started singing, and then we went up on stage, and we just started ad-libbing this song. And I think the next 3 times that we played there, we just kept adding on to it, and then we ended up recording it, and then I sent it to Peaches, and she's like, "That shit is funny," and then she did this rap, and so that's how it happened. And it really is kind of mocking the Michigan Women's Festival, which I had played out once and will never be asked back again. But people, people are just loving it and laughing their asses off at it, and it's just so fun to play because people just laugh hysterically. Let's go into the forest and menstruate on a stick is the first line.
Yeah. And I have to say, I felt odd laughing at a song by Carole Pope because I was like, I feel like I should be getting something deep from this, but I find it very funny. So I just went with it.
No, it's not the first funny song I've written, but I think when we first started, our songs are more blatantly funny. So I was like, I want to go back to that place.
Let's go into the forest and menstruate on a stick. Look, there's a drum circle. Maybe we could join in. Let's go down to the fire pit and roast some tofu dogs. Maybe some dykes in a tent. We'll have some beer. We're lesbians in the forest. Let's go to the S&M tent and learn how to fist fuck. We can do whatever we want, 'cause this is a man free zone. Except for the guys who empty the Janes. We don't call them Johns. Here at the Michigan Women's Festival, we worship the goddess. We're lesbians in the forest. Why does everybody with a frightening body walk around naked? Why do women grow facial hair? Why do I have to look at that? No offense to anyone who's transitioning. Oh, fuck, there's my ex with her new girlfriend. But you are so much hotter. You're Ellen's ex, Katie's ex, Leisha's ex, Portia's ex, the Indigo's ex, Jody's ex, my ex-ex's ex. We're lesbians in the forest.
No X-key score, this is a forest. Same-sex smorgas, fuck a Greek chorus. I swore this would be a dinosaur weekend. Dyke beacon, hair Mohican. I diddle a woodland fairy, whittle my woody scary. Middle of me is hairy, middle of me is dairy. Nymphs, fairies, witches, not a cock in sight. 'Cause sisters are doing themselves all night.
Yeah, lesbians in the forest. We're lesbians in the forest. We're lesbians in the forest.
Your image and your music, it's really had an impact on the music industry. After all, Dusty Springfield, I think, lovingly borrowed your hairstyle for a period of time. But what I want to know, Carole Pope, is about Crotchgate. I would like for you to set the to set the record straight about Crotchgate and who grabbed their crotch first. Michael Jackson, love him, Madonna, or yourself.
I believe it was me.
Would you say that again?
I believe it was me who grabbed my crotch first. And apparently, Rough Trade played the opening of Danceteria, and my friend Jim Farrat, who was one of the guys that ran Danceteria, said that Madonna was in the audience and she saw me do it.
No shit.
That's what he says.
Wow.
So there you go.
From the woman herself.
Yeah.
Now, is there going to be a Rough Trade movie?
There's a movie based on my book in the works. It was supposed to start shooting this year, but the director got knocked up. What? So it's supposed to go in. It's supposed to start filming next spring.
3 Juno Awards, Canada's Grammys, 1 Genie Award, Canada's Oscars, 4 gold records, 1 platinum record, 1 double platinum record, and as you can hear, a band in the background. When you think of the awards that you've earned, what comes to mind?
Just I was shocked that I won any Genie Awards because, I'm like, I'm such a stylized singer. Back then, I think I was very stylized. And now I think technically I'm a better singer. So that was shocking, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I think, we just followed our bliss. And that's what happens. Sometimes, you just follow your bliss. You don't listen to anybody and just make the art that you want to make, and people will love it because people know it's genuine. So, yeah, why shouldn't we sell gold and platinum albums? I mean, we're such a great band.
So, your music deals with sex, sexuality, pushing boundaries, and your very first single, High School Confidential, is one of the first hit songs to talk about lesbianism. So here you are, you're being a trailblazer, you're singing about sex and sexuality, and then you find yourself surrounded by the who's who of Canadian music like Joni Mitchell, Anne Murray, Neil Young, Bryan Adams, Jim Vallance, the songwriting team from Hell, according to the autobiography Anti-Diva. So the song Tears Are Not Enough, Canada's answer to the Ethiopian famine relief efforts in 1984. How did you become part of that project?
They phoned me. I mean, I think they asked everybody. And I was like, yes, I'm there. And I'd met Joni before, but it was crazy being in a room with all those Canadians. It was so crazy Canadian.
Now, I'm sure that there was some frustration in that day when you guys were recording Tears Are Not Enough, maybe with David Foster having Paul Hyde of the Payolas and yourself do 50 takes of a line that was correct the very first time. But if we fast forward to 2011, you release a record where you talk about more frustration. You talk about the sensation of being adrift in a sea of bullshit, fear, frustration with the system. Tell me about the record Landfall.
Meteor showers above me. Yoko is tweeting about peace. 21st century influx. The nights seem to swallow us up. Who does your art direction? The way the light hits you is cosmic. Cuts and glitters like smoky blue diamonds. And you don't really care where your pants fall. This is an alarm call, 911 to the wrecking ball. Nothing's been right since they broke the fourth wall, trying to make it to landfall.
Landfall, I think, speaks to the frustration, anxiety, fear-mongering, everything that's going on in the world today. So, I don't know. I just wanted to write, I don't know how many songs I wrote about, how many songs are on that album. Not every single one of them is about that, but that's basically the theme of that album. And I got Rufus Wainwright to sing the title track with me, which was amazing because he's so brilliant. And but really, I just think that we're all kind of adrift, and it's just a weird time in history, and I don't know. I mean, everybody's like, "What the fuck?" every other day because some horrible shit goes down.
At the time of recording our interview, 2 Canadian soldiers were killed on home soil. On October 20th, Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent was intentionally run down in the parking lot of a federal building in Montreal. On October 22nd, Corporal Nathan Cirillo was killed while guarding the National War Memorial in Ottawa. As Canadians, I think we all send our collective condolences to the families of the fallen officers, and we give our appreciation to everyone who has and is serving our country. Thank you. Something just crazy happened here in Canada, in Ottawa, as we were recording this. Yeah.
I know, but but I don't know why people are surprised because Canada's been at war for 13 years, and somebody's going to do something. It's somebody's going to sneak in and do something at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there definitely should be more security at the Parliament houses, but it's probably going to result in Canadians losing even more of their rights. It's like a way for the government to go,
Now, were you
can't do this, or we're going to spy on you even more than we are.
Right. Now, is that something that really concerns you about civil rights and losing one's freedoms, so to speak, all that sort of stuff, like the political side of things?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I certainly write about politics, and yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, we're being spied on all the time. But I don't really have. I mean, some people have a lot to hide, and I'm like, whatever. If you're desperate, I mean, I don't think the government is listening to my phone calls per se, but they certainly are listening to some people's. And I'm like, well, how boring for you.
You see, that's the thing that I don't quite get. If people are so concerned about their privacy and stuff, I mean, I can understand a certain level of it, but phone calls, conversations, if you don't really have anything to hide, you don't really have anything to worry about, if you really think about it.
This is true, but, why is the government spying on, we elect these people,
right.
But the whole system, I mean, the whole system of government is pretty much shot in North America.
Things need to change. The system needs to be changed somehow, some ways,
Yeah, it's so corrupt, and then corporations are running everything, but everybody knows that. But it is so corrupt, and I don't think that really nice, moral people run for office. I think they're pretty much immoral, most of them.
So, getting back to your record, Landfall, tell me what inspired Viral.
Which way's the sky? Which way's the ground? I really don't know. Infected with your love, I'm on a downward spiral. The opiate of the masses pulling at me in its violent undertow. Our love's going viral,
That song, it's kind of a love song, but it's also about the environment, and it's also, what else is it? I think that's it. Yeah, the environment, love, how it kind of takes over you, of your entire body, like a virus when you're right in it. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite tracks because it's so kick-ass.
And what about Did I Mention?
Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? I will not go gently. Cities, gunshots, have-nots. Ice melting on both poles. It's so hot and you're so cold. Tear yourself away from your techno playground. Tear yourself away. I wanna throw down. Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? Did I mention? Did I forget to mention? The line is drawn.
A funky take on what the fuck is going on with the world today, you know.
I think it's fair to say that this record was essentially crowdfunded.
Yes, it was. Yeah. That's how I do everything pretty much, because, you know, I don't I don't really have I have a pretend label that's just a name, and yeah, everybody I know is doing that, because how else are you going to make art?
State of independence.
Nobody's going to sign me to a label, or if they are, they're going to take 50% of everything. So
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier about Rufus Wainwright. What is about his music that really touches you so?
I just think he's just such an open, passionate performer, and his music makes me cry. And I actually asked him about that once, and he said, "Well, it makes me cry too." It's just he's just out there, and I love watching him perform, and I love him because he's passionate, and I can totally relate to that.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm gonna open up your gate. Maybe tell you about Phaedra and how she gave me life and how she made it end. Some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers growing on a hill, dragonflies, daffodils, learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight, I'm gonna open up your gate and maybe tell you about Phaedra and how she gave me life and how she made it end. Some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers are the things we know. Secrets are the things we grow. Learn from us very much. Look at us, but do not touch. Phaedra is my name.
Some velvet morning when I'm straight.
Flowers growing on a hill,
I'm gonna open up your gate
dragonflies, daffodils,
and maybe tell you about Phaedra
learn from us very much.
and how she gave me life
Look at us, but do not touch.
and how she made it end.
Right here, right now, every day. CIUT 89.5, the sound of your city.
In 1981, New York City, the grand finale supper club. Tell me about meeting Dusty Springfield.
The look of love is in your eyes. A look, your smile can't disguise.
Dusty was performing at the grand finale, and I went to see her with a mutual friend of ours, Vicky Wickham, who was managing her at the time, and she's like, "You should meet I can't do her accent, but she's British, and now she's a dame. She's like, "You should meet Dusty. You guys would get along." And so, yeah, I'm waiting in the audience. She's 2 hours late. Rock Hudson is in the audience. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. What the hell's the name of that actress? Fran Lebowitz. All these people are in the
Jane
audience.
Seymour, I think.
Jane Seymour. I like to call her Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, though. That's better. What's her name? I'm forgetting some singers. Jane Oliver and Helen Reddy. Could that be 80s? Could that be any more 80s? Anyway, they're all in the audience. She comes on. She's 2 hours late. She sounds amazing. I guess, I don't know. The show finished. I got up. I actually think I left with Vicky, and then because we weren't going to go back to the dressing room, and then Vicky says, "Oh no, you should go. You should go meet her." So then I went and I met her, and we kind of hit it off because we started acting really stupid right away and being, kind of cockney, and I don't know, we just really connected because she was really funny.
Now you guys ended up hooking up, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you ended up having a relationship, and you ended up living together, actually, here in Toronto in Cabbagetown. So what was that like, living with Dusty Springfield, a British icon? What was that about? What was that
it was
like?
crazy. It was crazy because she was an alcoholic. So, so sometimes it was fabulous, and sometimes it was like, when you have a relationship with an alcoholic, it turns you into a police woman or man, because you're like, you discover they're hiding drugs or alcohol all over the place, and you're watching, to see what they do, and then they go out and, come back until the middle of the night. And so it was like 50% that and 50% fabulous. Because we really did have some great times. And as I said, she was really funny and really intelligent and could be really charming, but had that little alcohol problem.
So is that what really ended the whole relationship, you think?
Oh, yeah, because, there's no way that you are not affected by that. And I did go to AA meetings with her when I first met her, and then I started to go to Al-Anon so that I could cope with being with an alcoholic. And then I'm just like, this is making me insanely sick, and I can't do it anymore. So I ended it.
Now tell me, on this new record, Music for Lesbians, you have the song Francis Bacon.
Yeah.
Tell me, who inspired Francis Bacon?
That was about my relationship with Dusty. And actually, I kind of lifted it from my book, because I just wrote, one chapter about my relationship with Dusty. But I mean, she's really fascinating, and you could write a whole book about her, but everybody else has written a book about her. So yeah, it was totally inspired by my time with her. But people don't get that it was my very amusing hook, Francis Bacon. By that I mean the artist, not who had a crazy fucked up life.
Right, not the 1800s guy.
No, but the painter who said, champagne for my real friends and real pain for my sham friends, among other things. And had a boyfriend, like this piece of rough trade boyfriend who committed suicide.
Sugar rush, the flesh, the cold red eye. so godforsaken.
Now, we're going to be winding things up here soon, and we're going to say goodnight to the band. That's playing.
Good night, band.
That's playing in the background.
Are they playing fusion? Oh my God.
I don't know what they're playing. Now, I truly believe, Carole, that in order to know where we're going, we have to know where we've come from. And actually, a really good way to maybe do that is to write an autobiography, which I don't think a lot of us or most of us are going to do. But Carole Pope, you've done such a thing. You wrote Anti-Diva in 2001, and it's available in paperback on Amazon. So tell me, what was that experience of writing Anti-Diva like for you?
Well, it was like a very cathartic and a giant purge, and there's a lot of name dropping, which I'm kind of sorry about. I
Really?
don't think, yeah, some of it. I'm like,
Okay.
Some people were pissed at me.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, what am I doing? But I don't know. I got encouraged by Random House, maybe, by my publishers. But yeah, it was very cathartic, and I think I'm not a person who writes journals, but I guess I'd been writing notes on and off and about my life, and it's a great way to get it all out there. And really, I just threw it all out there, and then we had to arrange it in some kind of order. And that's not exactly, that was not my intention. I really didn't want to write an autobiography. I just wanted to write some essays about my life, but they're like, no, it has to be an autobiography. Start with your childhood. So I was like, oh, okay.
Now, you write about your brother Howard. What
Yeah.
was that experience like for you, writing about your brother Howard?
Well, I worship my brother who passed away in 1996 of complications from HIV, AIDS, and it was really hard. But he was such a fabulous person, and I am still meeting to people today. I mean, he knew everybody, and they're always like, "How's your brother?" He was really charming and funny and talented, and was part of ACT UP in New York, and was very political. And I think, he used to protest, and he's like chained himself to like some fences and things like that. Very, very political. Also very talented musician, and just a brilliant, brilliant man. So it was hard, but I feel like he was happy that I did it.
And what about writing about Dusty Springfield? What did that time with her, what did that teach you about yourself?
Well, I think, being with an alcoholic or somebody who has substance abuse problems, I mean, it's like, oh, my love is going to change that person. I love them. I'm going to help them not do that. So I think that's what I learned is you're not going to change them. They have to do it themselves. And I think that, some alcoholics are going to hit me. Alcoholics and people with substance abuse problems are really, it's really all of, they're kind of, everything's about them, so it's very difficult to be in a relationship with them.
And sometimes you just have to set yourself free.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm so glad that in retrospect, I'm so glad that I met her and was with her. And really, I was like, most of the time I'd say, tell me about, I just wanted her to tell me stories about her life and her career. And because she really was an innovative performer in the way she recorded, and because she's like, I used to want to sing vocals in the bathroom of the recording studio, and then be like, what are you doing? But I mean, she was like so right, because the sound is so great in the bathroom.
Now, let's take this full circle. So, 1968, you meet Kevin Staples. You guys form Rough Trade. What words would you use to describe that whole experience that started it all?
It was just exhilarating, joyful. We weren't out to impress anybody. We were just making music that made us happy. He's one of the sweetest, kindest men I know, Kevin Staples. I just feel, it was like kismet that we met up and made this band,
Carole Pope, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I pushed it, pretend space.